CreepyCorner stories.
Hey folks, before we dive into tonight's stories, I want to give a huge thank you to Kieran Tibbetts and Lisa Collin for supporting the channel and being amazing members. If you'd like to help me keep creating these stories, feel free to become a member. It really helps the channel grow. I'm planning to continue exploring more than just the dark web tales, so if you enjoy what you hear tonight, you're in the right place. Now, grab your headphones, turn off the lights, and let's step into another amazing night with you and me together. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment below. It means the world to me and helps keep the horror alive. And tell me in the comments, what kind of story hits you the hardest? The ones that feel too real, or the ones that could actually happen to someone you know? My sister's boyfriend streams in the basement every night. I think he's running a red room. It's strange how long you can live next to something horrifying without realizing it. Not under a bridge, not in the woods, in your fucking house, right below your feet. I didn't see it until I stopped hearing the usual sounds. It wasn't blood or screams or any of that cliche crap that movies shovel out. It was quiet, a wrong kind of quiet, the kind that lives inside walls. That kind of absence doesn't show up overnight. It spreads like black mold. It makes you question your ears, your brain, your memories. That's how this all started. A silence that shouldn't have existed. Let me rewind. My sister Mia brought Ethan into our house like a feral cat you pretend is domestic because it keeps its claws sheathed. For now. He was polite, clean, soft-spoken, dressed like a barista at an overpriced coffee chain, and always smelled like sandalwood or something faintly sweet and rotten. The guy had a symmetrical face. That kind of symmetry you see in cult leaders or CEO mugshots. He worked in IT. You know what that means. No one ever asks further. And if they do, he just dropped buzzwords like proprietary backend, security layer, encrypted node architecture. You nod. You smile. You let the lie pass because the alternative is calling bullshit, and suddenly you're the problem. When he moved in, he asked for the basement, said it was for work, said he needed the dark, cool space, said he was building something for a stream. We laughed. My sister called him her little Mark Zuckerberg. I called him a discount streamer and forgot about it. The only time I saw the space was before he moved his gear in. Concrete floor, old workbench, exposed pipework with rust spots that looked like blood if you squinted. I joked about it looking like a crime scene, and he didn't laugh. He just stared at the corner and mumbled, "Perfect." That was month 1. Month 2, the door to the basement got a deadbolt. Not a basic Home Depot lock. A full steel sliding bolt from a hardware supplier I recognized from an old subreddit about high security builds. He drilled it in himself, bolted it into concrete with terrifying precision. I asked why. "Equipment's expensive," he said. "Equipment for streaming." Apparently, he was worried someone might steal his webcam. I didn't say anything. Neither did Mia. It's easier to believe your sister's boyfriend is quirky than it is to believe he's capable of something truly fucked. By month 3, Ethan was live streaming every other night. Not on YouTube, not on Twitch. He said it was on a custom platform. I assumed it was some weird tech bro side hustle, like a Patreon clone or something niche for retro game freaks. But then I started noticing shit. Subtle things. My Spotify app kept skipping to distorted instrumental loops, tracks that had no album name, no artist, just static file names like scraproom.wav or ae_final.mp3. They'd pop in randomly while I was walking through the house. The same melody, always. Low piano, mechanical grinding, and this wet slapping sound in the background, like raw meat being dropped over and over onto tile. At first, I blamed my phone. Then it happened on my TV, and then my laptop while I was writing emails, and then on Mia's phone while she slept. When I brought it up to her, she brushed it off. She always brushed it off. It's just audio bleed from the server, she said. You know, Ethan's working on back-end stuff. Ghost packets, they can leak. It's a tech thing. She didn't know what any of those words meant. She was repeating what he told her. She said it like a script. That night, I crept downstairs while he was streaming. 2:42 a.m. I didn't go to the door. I just listened. The house was quiet, but not in the usual way. The hum of the fridge felt nervous. The pipes creaked like they were holding their breath. There was no keyboard sound, no speaking, no game noises, just this slow, rhythmic, wet noise, like dragging something across linoleum. A body, maybe. That thought popped into my head like a parasite. I backed away and convinced myself I was being dramatic. I'd been reading too much weird fiction. I told myself it wasn't real. I was wrong. Month 4, Mia started changing. Subtle stuff. Hair pulled tighter. Less makeup, but a hollow under her eyes that concealer couldn't hide. Her laugh stopped happening in the mornings. She didn't eat much, and when she did, she always left the meat untouched. Wouldn't even look at it. She said she was detoxing. She didn't go into the basement anymore, but every night, like some addict shaking for a fix, she'd sit on her phone and watch his stream. Full brightness, full volume, earbuds in. I'd catch glimpses over her shoulder. No game, no webcam, just a red light bulb glowing in a corner. Faint shadows moving, a timer ticking upward. The chat was frozen. No one was typing, but the viewer count never dropped. Always 117. Always 117 watching. Every single night, even when the stream was offline. The worst part, it never showed Ethan. Not once. Just that red bulb. That same corner. The same timer. One night, I swiped her phone while she slept and tried to open the app. It didn't exist. No icon. No browser history. When I typed in the URL manually, it redirected me to a dead GitHub page, but her screen still showed it clearly, like a live feed. I took a screenshot. The image disappeared. Not corrupted. Gone. No file. No thumbnail. Just an error message. You don't belong here. She woke up 5 seconds later, asked me what I was doing. Eyes wide, pupils too big. She looked at me like a stranger, like something was living in her skin. Month 5, I started hearing the screams. I need you to understand. This wasn't horror movie screaming, not that high-pitched actress in the woods stuff. This was wet screaming, the kind that comes from the back of the throat. Someone gagged or buried or half-strangled. It came in short bursts, like hiccups. The walls swallowed the rest. It would start at 2:15 a.m. every time. I started recording it. iPhone, laptop mic, anything. But in the morning, the files were always gone. Not deleted. Gone. The app would open to an empty folder, or worse, a completely normal song. Like my phone got gaslit. Like the recordings were rewritten with some default file. One time, I played it back and heard myself breathing. I wasn't recording in the same room. That's when I stopped trying. Then Mia started sleepwalking. I'd find her at the top of the basement stairs, just standing, not moving, sometimes holding her phone out, screen glowing with that red light, timer ticking, her mouth moving, but no sound, like she was whispering prayers to something under the floorboards. Her hands always had black under the fingernails, like soot or old blood. When I asked her, she laughed, said I was being paranoid, said maybe I should go down there and see for myself. She was right. I did. Once. I waited until Ethan was out running errands and Mia was in the shower. I took his spare key, unlocked the basement, went in. The moment I stepped past the threshold, the air changed. It wasn't just cold. It was humid, rotten, like the smell of a meat freezer with the power cut for 3 days. The lights were off. I used my phone flashlight and instantly regretted it. The walls were covered in paper, not posters, not art. Photocopied photos, blurry images of rooms, desks, beds, bathrooms, hundreds of them, all in grayscale, all stapled or nailed directly to the drywall. One had my bedroom, same blanket, same crooked photo frame above the headboard. I had never seen that photo taken. I never gave anyone permission to take it. There were dozens more like it. Mia's room, the kitchen, our hallway, all shot from high corners, like surveillance footage. I turned toward the workbench. Cameras, dozens of tiny webcams, modified, wired into a custom panel with switches and labels, some labeled Guest 009 or Guest 034. One said, Upstairs Hall. Another just said, Bed A. There was a monitor looping low-resolution black and white feeds. One feed showed a woman chained to a wall. Another showed an empty parking garage. Another showed me, standing in the basement, looking at the screen. I didn't run. I couldn't. My body locked up like it was waiting for the next command. The screen flickered. The feed switched to a new view. A hallway, flickering light, a shadow approaching. I turned. No one there, but the smell was stronger. Rot. Then I heard it. From somewhere behind the far wall, a voice, muffled, but real. Guest 118. Verified. That wasn't my name. I don't know what it meant, but the door slammed shut behind me, and the light flickered. That was 3 days ago. I haven't seen Ethan since. Mia won't talk to me. The streaming still happens. I don't know how long I have, but the timer, it's still counting up. And now there are 118 viewers. I thought I was crazy. That's the worst part. Not the things I saw, not the footage, the streams, the smell under the floorboards, or even the files that vanish from your devices like ash caught in a wind you can't feel. The worst part was that I convinced myself it couldn't be real, because if it was, I lived with it. I lived above it. I was complicit. I didn't tell Mia about what I saw that night in the basement. She wouldn't have believed me. Hell, I barely believed me. But after that, I started noticing things I couldn't unnotice. The kind of things your brain deletes in real time because they don't fit. Like the sounds coming from the vent. We have an old house. The ducts are metal. That thick, silver kind that clangs when temperature shifts. One night, around 3:30 a.m., I was laying in bed staring at my phone, just doom scrolling until my eyelids gave out. I hadn't slept since I found the basement cams. Couldn't. Then I heard the metal creak, not like settling pipes, not like a house getting cold. It was slow, dragging, like something metal was being pulled across the inside of the duct, inch by inch. And then came the whispering. Except it wasn't whispering. It was lower, throat hissing, not in English, I sat up. It stopped. I leaned over and turned the vent cover toward me and looked in with the light from my phone. I saw something move. Not crawl. Contract. Like someone inhaling in reverse. I slammed it shut. I started staying at work later, taking longer drives, anything to avoid being in the house when Ethan streamed. But then I noticed something even worse. The house followed me. One afternoon, I was in a Starbucks near the university, just burning time, waiting for Mia to text me that she was heading out so I could go home, shower, and pretend everything was fine for a few more hours. I pulled open my laptop, and the moment it connected to Wi-Fi, my mouse started lagging. That was my first clue. The lag. Anyone who's ever dealt with packet loss knows that stuttering cursor feeling. But this wasn't the Wi-Fi. This was different. The pointer wasn't stuttering. It was drifting, like someone else was trying to control it. It circled the screen, opened Chrome, typed into the address bar, guest 118.live. The site loaded in milliseconds. Black screen, white countdown, 00:04:12. I slammed the laptop shut, pulled the battery out, walked straight into the bathroom, and vomited in the sink. Because I knew what it meant. The countdown wasn't for a show. It was for me. Mia started locking her bedroom door at night. We had never done that before. We grew up in that house. Our rooms were open to each other. Our lives were easy, overlapping. But after Ethan moved in, everything changed. The door was shut, bolted, and under it, I could see a pulsing red light from inside. Same red as Ethan's stream. I tried knocking. No answer. Sometimes I could hear her talking to herself. Sometimes I could hear multiple voices. One night, I left my room at 1:45 a.m. and walked quietly past her door. I leaned in close and held my ear to the wood. The voices were low, guttural, layered like audio filters being stacked and warped. It wasn't her, and it wasn't Ethan. They were saying names, different names, over and over. Some in languages I recognized, some not, and then one that was mine, over and over again. My name, guest 118, then silence. Then the door clicked open, unlocked from inside. No one was there, just Mia's room, empty. The bed unslept in, the window open. The air smelled like burned plastic, and something underneath it, sweet, like sugar on rot. On the dresser was her phone. I picked it up. No passcode. Only one app on the home screen. No icons, no name, just a red square. When I opened it, it didn't launch a program. It opened the camera, and the camera showed me not the room I was standing in, but the basement, live. The walls were different now. Ethan had painted them, or replaced them, I don't know. What I saw was not drywall. The surfaces were smooth, dark, moist, almost like flesh. No green screen, no lights, just one industrial bulb swinging from the ceiling, half burnt out, casting shadows like open mouths. There was a chair in the middle, bolted to the floor, straps hanging loose, stained. In the corner, the camera moved on its own, was a wall made of monitors, and every monitor was split-screening a feed from somewhere else. I recognized cities, bedrooms, motel lobbies. One screen showed a high school classroom. One showed a Taco Bell bathroom. One showed me, standing in Mia's room, holding her phone, watching the stream. I dropped it. It didn't break. It didn't even react. The screen just flickered. And then came the whisper. From the phone. From all around the room. Time to join the project. The next day, Ethan was in the kitchen making eggs. He smiled like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't seen his underground meat prison on camera. Like I hadn't watched my own body filmed from an angle that shouldn't be possible without me having a camera in my wall. He didn't say anything for a while. Then, between bites, he said, "You've seen the guests now. You're part of it." Mia volunteered. I didn't respond. I walked out. I stayed at a friend's for 3 days. Told them I had plumbing issues. I couldn't stop checking over my shoulder. I stopped using Wi-Fi. I turned off Bluetooth, but my phone still lit up at 2:17 a.m. every night with a push notification from no sender. Guest 118. Session begins in 0 hours, 6 minutes, 44 seconds. I uninstalled everything, switched SIM cards, bought a burner. Same message. I went to the police, showed them the messages, the screenshots. I told them I suspected Ethan of running something illegal. I showed them the room. They laughed. They said it looked like a YouTube prank set. They said I should maybe get some rest. 2 nights ago, I woke up in the back seat of my own car, parked in an alley 5 blocks from home. I had no memory of getting in, no memory of leaving the apartment, just darkness, and then the car. My phone was in the passenger seat. Open to the guest 118 page. The stream was live. This time, it showed someone sitting in the chair. I don't know who. The figure was blurred. Every time I tried to focus on their face, the stream artifacted, glitched into static, like something was actively stopping me from seeing them clearly. But what I did see, their arms were moving, not struggling, not fighting, typing, on a keyboard bolted to the wall, over and over again, just one phrase. "We made you." Last night I went back to the house. I had to see Mia. I had to make sure she was still her. When I came in, the house was pitch black. The power was off. The air was thick, hot, smelled like a server room, and rot. I found her in the kitchen, not moving, sitting at the table, hands folded, eyes closed, face blank like a doll put away too long. In front of her, a receipt, printed on thermal paper, fresh, no timestamp, just one item. Guest 118, paid in full. There were cameras mounted in the kitchen corners now, ones I hadn't seen before, cables running from them through the ceiling, lights red and recording. I heard a ding from the basement. The door was open. Ethan was waiting at the top of the stairs, smiling. He handed me a small black card, plain, matte, no markings. But when I touched it, I heard voices, not in my ears, in my teeth, like the vibration of a phone call piped through my molars. He said, "You don't need to resist. You've already been streaming for weeks. Your room is one of our highest rated sets. You should be proud." I asked him what the project was. He said, "You're not in the project. You are the project." He turned and walked downstairs. Mia stood up without looking at me, followed him. The door shut behind them, and now the house is quiet again. The hum is back. The timer on my phone says, "Session begins in 0 hours, 0 minutes, 3 seconds. I think it already has. I think it never ended. And I think I was always guest 118, because I've stopped seeing my reflection, and I've started seeing you." The strangest thing about all of this, after the basement, after the red light, after the phantom notifications and the watchers with no names, is that I'm still trying to love. I brush my teeth. I drink water. I eat cold leftover McDonald's out of a paper bag and stare at a wall. But the wall isn't a wall anymore. It's a frame. And every surface I try to ignore starts to feel like a lens cap waiting to blink. Day 11 since I left the house. Or I think I did. I can't prove I left anymore. I'm living out of a small room in a town I can't pronounce, renting by cash from an old couple who doesn't speak. The room is beige and silent and smells like mothballs and dried up memories. No signal, no Wi-Fi, no reception. Perfect, right? Except last night, I opened the wardrobe to find clothes that weren't mine. At first, I thought they were just left behind by some previous tenant. Old hoodies, mismatched socks, a jacket with a broken zipper. But then I saw the black shirt, a perfect match for the one Ethan always wore during his streams. Same brand, same faded collar, same almost invisible stain near the chest, and next to it, a white blouse. Mia's. I checked every tag. All sizes matched. The laundry smell was still fresh. I shut the door. 5 seconds later, I opened it again. The wardrobe was empty. Only the faintest whisper of air came out. And then, I realized I was being recorded again. The closet was the new camera. I sat on the floor for 2 hours. Didn't blink. Didn't breathe too loud. Just stared at the door and waited. Because the stream doesn't need equipment anymore. It uses places. I left the room. Not to run. There's nowhere to run. Not to hide. There's nowhere to hide. I walked to the diner 2 streets over. A dead little place with a cracked jukebox and a waitress that always smiles. Too late. I ordered coffee. I kept my eyes on the reflective chrome edge of the sugar dispenser because I don't trust mirrors anymore. They linger too long. They look at you like they're waiting for you to say the right phrase. The TV in the corner was stuck on a news channel. No sound, just footage of a fire. A house fire. My house. My actual house. The crawl on the bottom said, "Unexplained basement blaze. No structural origin found. Residents unaccounted for." I stared. They showed an aerial view. The house was gone. A blackened hole where the basement had been. But more than that, there was a word carved into the earth where the foundation should be. Burned, but legible. That's when it hit me. This isn't about Ethan. This isn't even about me. There's no Ethan anymore. There's just the set. I tried to call someone. Anyone. My old boss. My friend from college. My ex. No one picked up. Not even voicemail. Just static. And once, this sound. A slow inhale. Wet. Thick. Like breath through ruined lungs. And a voice that whispered, "Ready to go live." I threw the phone in a dumpster and walked 7 miles out of town with nothing but the keys in my hand and the receipt still folded in my back pocket. Yeah, the same one. The one that reads, "Guest 118, paid in full." I didn't even feel it when I slid the paper under my fingernail like a splinter. The ink bled into my skin. That night, back in the rented room, I tried something I haven't done in days. I looked at myself, in the mirror, just to see if I still existed. I didn't. I mean, someone was there, but it wasn't me. Same eyes but wrong, fixed too long on nothing, mouth twitching, like waiting for a cue. And then, the mirror blinked. I didn't. My reflection blinked first. I collapsed. Full blackout. When I woke up, I was lying in the wardrobe, not on the bed, just curled up in the wooden dock, door shut, chest heaving. There was a GoPro screwed into the upper corner. No red light, no battery, but I could hear the whispering again. So I started whispering back. I don't even know what I said. Something about the watches, about how I didn't know what my role was anymore, about how I didn't want to be streamed, about how I couldn't keep playing a part that wasn't written for me. The camera clicked. A voice behind the wood said, "Scene complete." Now the walls breathe. They literally breathe. Like lungs. Like a tide behind drywall. Every few minutes, the paint cracks a little more. And behind the plaster, I hear more typing. Like hundreds of fingers on mechanical keys. Someone's writing something. A new scene. I tried smashing the mirror. Behind it was a screen, not a wall. And the screen said, Guest 118. Live location, room 4. See viewers, 143. Reactions, 5 stars. I don't remember rating anything. I don't remember being moved here. I don't remember saying yes. But the mirror camera thing, it showed footage from a few hours ago. Me, sleeping, mouth open, eyes fluttering, and standing over me was Mia, hair soaked, face pale, eyes rolled back, phone in her hand, filming. She whispered, "We're all rooms now." Then it cut out. I think I know what Ethan really meant when he said the project didn't need actors. It needed rooms. Rooms are easier to control. Rooms can be moved. Rooms can be watched forever. Right now, as I type this, on a laptop that I didn't own a week ago, in a house that I didn't rent, in a room that I never entered, I can see another wardrobe across from the bed. It's open. Inside, it is a monitor. On the monitor is a live stream. Chat is disabled. The feed shows someone typing. Me. Now. And beneath the window, a prompt just flashed. Add guest. And beneath that, 119. I didn't press anything. The cursor moved by itself. It hovered for a second, then clicked. Yes, I don't think I'm guest 118 anymore. I think I'm the set now, and whoever you are, welcome to the stream. There's a point in all of this where fear stops feeling sharp, when it stops being a reaction and just becomes the atmosphere you breathe in, like oxygen, like wallpaper, like the quiet hum you forget is even there, because it's never stopped. That's what I am now. Not a person in danger, not a survivor, just part of the background noise of something bigger. And if you've been reading this, you're closer to it than you think. This will be the last part I can write. Not because I'm dying, not because the Watchers found me, but because they don't need me to speak anymore. They've learned enough. From me, from you, from every screen you've looked into without really seeing who was on the other side. So here's what actually happened. The real answer. The part you've been waiting for. The part that's worse than murder, worse than torture, worse than any red room you ever heard whispered about on the deep web. There was never a single room. There was never one basement, never one stream, never one chair. The project wasn't about violence. It was about connection. Not the kind you choose, the kind you're absorbed into. They don't need to trap people in basements anymore. They don't need chains or cameras or locks. Every phone is a lens. Every reflection is an intake form. Every viewer becomes a room. Every room becomes a feed. Every feed becomes a guest. Every guest becomes a replacement. The project doesn't film people. It erases them and leaves the streaming version behind. Remember the number? Then 143. It wasn't a viewer count. It was capacity. They weren't watching. They were loading. I used to think I was trying to escape them. But you can't escape something that's everywhere. You can't run from a broadcast that doesn't need signal. You can't hide from something once it learns how to copy you. The moment you're inside the frame, you're not the one watching anymore. I opened the wardrobe again today. The monitor was gone. Now there's only a mirror, but I don't see myself in it. I see someone else typing, someone reading this, someone who hasn't realized yet that the room they're in is already part of the grid. The reflection blinks. I don't. The reflection smiles. I don't. They raise a hand. I don't. That's when I finally understand. They didn't take me. They replaced me. And now I'm watching from the other side. So here's the truth. I didn't finish the story. You did. Because the moment you reached this sentence, you became the next room, and the feed just went up by one. Viewers, 144 rooms. Active, 144. Guest target, 145. If your phone buzzes tonight, don't check it. If your mirror lingers, don't look twice. If the screen turns black, don't wait for the image to load. Because once it loads, it's too late. And when the counter changes again, the stream isn't coming from a basement anymore. It's coming from where you're sitting right now. Keep the lights on. Don't go silent. Don't look away. The project hates stillness. And it just found its next guest. You. My mom's new boyfriend works in cybersecurity. I saw his face on a dark web stream about human trafficking. Alright, so this all started a couple months ago, and I swear on everything, I'm not the type to post on Reddit or whatever. But the more this stuff keeps happening, the more I feel like I need to tell someone. Anyone. Just get it out there. I'm 17. I live in a regular neighborhood outside of Chicago. Suburbs, strip malls, Target, the usual. You could probably throw a rock and hit a Starbucks or some beige-looking dentist office. Nothing special. But that's kind of the thing. This didn't happen in some creepy cabin in the woods. It happened in my 2-story house with a mom who works in HR and a new boyfriend who, at first, just seemed a little off. Let's rewind a bit. It was around late July, peak summer. I was just vibing, scrolling TikTok at like 3 a.m., watching those horror story animations people post, you know. I was big into that stuff. YouTubers like Luna, Nexpo, or that Here's My Story channel, where every kid ends up kidnapped or stalked by some janitor. I thought they were entertaining. Creepy, but like in a fun way. That fake scary. Now I wish I'd never watched them at all. So one night, my mom calls me downstairs. She's wearing this black dress I've never seen before. Hair all done up, smelling like those expensive hotel lobby perfumes. Chanel or something. Anyway, she introduces me to Matt. Matt from work. He's supposedly in cybersecurity, and right away, I get this weird vibe. You ever meet someone and just, something's off? Like the smile doesn't reach their eyes? That was Matt. He looked normal. Polo shirt, neat jeans, clean white sneakers. Probably mid-40s. But when he looked at me, it was like he was scanning, not staring. Scanning. Like trying to figure something out about me in real time. They ended up dating. Fast forward a couple weeks, and Matt starts coming around more often. Eventually, he's just there. All the time. And suddenly, our Wi-Fi is upgraded. He has this little black router thing he brought in. Enterprise level, he said. That's when weird stuff started happening. I'd be on my phone at night. Snapchat, Discord, Reddit, whatever. And my DMs would get super glitchy. I'd get random messages from usernames I didn't know. Stuff like, cute room, or is that a Billie Eilish poster on the wall behind you? Nothing else. Just that. No profile picture, no mutuals, no way to trace it back. The weirdest part? They weren't even messages in-app. It was like they were popping up across apps. A Discord ping with a Snapchat-style message. or a Reddit DM from someone whose account didn't even exist when I clicked on it. At first, I thought it was a virus, maybe some scam link I clicked on. I even reset my phone, but it didn't stop. Then one day, I was home alone. Mom was working late. Matt was on a call downstairs. He'd moved his little portable monitors into our basement by then. I went to microwave pizza rolls and felt like something was watching me. Not in the horror movie ghost way. In the real world, someone has a camera on you way. My skin just itched. I noticed the Alexa in the corner flashing. Thing is, we never had an Alexa. I walk over, and it's not even a real Alexa. It's some knockoff brand, the kind you see on Amazon for like $19.99 with no reviews. I lean in, and the damn thing clicks, like an old camera shutter. I unplugged it immediately. Later that night, I go on Reddit, venting about it. I post on r/tech support gore and r/privacy. Just something like, hey, is it normal for a fake Alexa to take photos? Found one in my kitchen I didn't buy. The replies were jokes at first. People saying, you're in a Black Mirror episode, or Matt's watching you, bro. Except one guy DMs me directly. His username was a crumbled signal 73. No post history. Just this message. Look in your vent. No explanation. No follow-up. Just that. So I grab my phone, flashlight on, go over to the vent near the TV, unscrew the cover. It's literally just held on by 2 tiny nails. And inside, I find this little device with a red light blinking, like some mini GoPro, but creepier. Way too small. I didn't touch it. I just stared. Later that night, I tried to talk to my mum. She brushed it off like I was being paranoid. Matt works with computers. Maybe he's doing a security test. She literally said that like it was no big deal. A security test. In our house. With cameras in the vent. That was the moment I realized something was seriously wrong. I waited until Matt was asleep. He crashed early on the couch with his laptop open, multiple windows minimized. I crept downstairs, gently moved the mouse to wake it up, and when I say my heart nearly stopped, I'm not exaggerating. There were tabs open for TOR, not just TOR, the dark web. One of the tabs had this streaming site, like Twitch, but way sketchier. Black background, green text, no usernames, just a bunch of thumbnail windows showing live streams from different cameras. One looked like a hospital bed. Another showed a girl in what looked like a storage unit. Dirty mattress, pink hoodie. She was sobbing. But one of the windows, center screen highlighted in a red border, showed my kitchen. Our kitchen, live. And standing in the frame, blurry but clear enough, was Matt. He looked straight into the camera and smiled. I didn't sleep that night. Not even a second. I just sat in my room with the lights off, staring at the hallway, waiting for footsteps, listening. Every tiny house sound, pipes, fridge hum, AC, felt like someone breathing right behind the door. I couldn't stop replaying that moment in my head. Matt, staring into the camera, smiling. And the worst part, the stream wasn't some grainy, low-res nonsense. It was HD, like Netflix HD, meaning whatever device was in our house, the vent camera, the fake Alexa, maybe more I still hadn't found. He installed them on purpose, and not just to spy on us. Other people were watching too. I didn't tell my mom the next morning, not because I didn't want to, but because I didn't know if I could trust her anymore. She was acting different, like Matt was rewiring her the same way he rewired the house. She used to make pancakes on weekends, sing old Taylor Swift songs in the kitchen like she was auditioning for The Voice. Now she barely spoke. She was always tired, pale, distant, like she was sleepwalking through her own life. And the worst part, some nights I heard footsteps from her room and the low sound of whispering, but not like a conversation, more like someone talking to her while she just sat still and listened. I'd stand in the hallway and hear one voice moving around the room, pacing, and hers, barely audible, just saying, "Okay, yes," over and over, like some hypnotized little kid. The next real event happened the following Thursday. That was the first night I tried to test something. I told my mom I was going to a movie with friends. I wasn't. I walked to a McDonald's 2 blocks away and just sat there for like 3 hours, sipping a Sprite and pretending to scroll Instagram. Really, I was waiting, watching. When I finally went home, I didn't walk in right away. I stayed across the street. No lights were on inside except one, coming from the basement. And the basement window? The tiny rectangle one near the ground. Someone was standing in front of it. Their silhouette wasn't Matt's. Too tall, too wide, just a solid shape, facing the street, not moving, like they were waiting for me. I didn't even breathe. I backed up slowly and walked around the block twice, pretending to look at my phone so I wouldn't look like I was casing my own house. By the time I came back, the shape was gone. Lights off. Quiet. When I walked inside, Matt was at the kitchen table, typing on a laptop like nothing happened. Mom wasn't around. I tried to play normal, grab a water bottle, act like I was totally chill, but I could feel his eyes on me, not looking at me, studying me, like I was a file he was analyzing. I swear I could hear the keyboard in his head typing notes about me. I went upstairs. About an hour later, my phone buzzed with a notification from Snapchat. Except it wasn't Snapchat. It had the icon, the notification sound, everything. But when I tapped it, it opened a plain black screen with a single line of text. "You shouldn't leave the house without telling us. Us, not me. US." I locked my door, blocked it with my dresser. I didn't sleep again. The next day at school, I started digging. I Googled everything I could about his name, Matthew Holbrook, his job, his past. Nothing came up except random LinkedIn-style stuff. Freelance consultant, private contractor, client security specialist. All vague. No photos older than like 2 years. So I dug deeper. Reddit threads, pastebin leaks, old forum archives, Discord channels designed just for people trying to unmask scammers. And eventually, I found something. Not his name, his face. A low-res freeze frame from an old dark web forum dump. Not from a webcam, not from a normal photo. It was from a live stream. He was standing behind a girl. She was maybe 13 or 14, tied to a chair, blindfolded, hair messy, like she'd been crying for days, and Matt had his hand on her shoulder. The caption, posted under a username I won't forget if I live forever, said, "New merchandise soon. Auction 3, AMEST, clean, docs verified." That was when I learned the truth. He wasn't some hacker. He wasn't someone testing the security of our house. He was a supplier, a collector, a trafficker, and I was living in his warehouse. That night, I started looking for cameras. The vent was just one. I found 3 more in my room alone, inside a power outlet, inside a teddy bear I'd had since I was 6, even inside the freaking ceiling light, all sending footage to the same place, all probably being watched in real time. And here's the part that really messed me up. They weren't hidden well. Not anymore. Like he wanted me to find them. Like this was all just part of the game. The last straw was what happened in the hallway. Around 2 a.m., I was sitting up, trying to decide whether to call 911 or just run away and never come back, when I heard something. A knock, not on the door, inside the wall. 3 taps, slow, deliberate. Then a voice, a girl's voice, small, broken. "Are you still here?" I froze. Every inch of my skin turned to ice. Another whisper, almost crying. "Please don't leave me." Then scratching, fingernails, from inside the drywall. That's when I realized Matt wasn't just watching people. He was keeping them, not online, not somewhere far away. Here, in the house. I didn't tell anyone about the voice in the wall. Not because I didn't want to, because I knew exactly what would happen if I did. My mom wouldn't believe me. The police wouldn't take me seriously. And Matt would know. And if he knew I knew, I had no doubt I'd end up just like the girl whose fingers were scraping for freedom behind the drywall. So I pretended nothing happened. I got up the next morning, brushed my teeth, went to school, laughed at dumb TikToks in the hallway, acted like a totally normal 17-year-old with 0 hidden cameras in her ceiling and 0 kidnapped girls whispering through plaster. But once you know, you can't unknow. You start noticing everything, like how the basement door was always locked now, not just closed, padlocked, like a storage unit instead of part of a house. Like how every time I walked into a room, there was suddenly silence, as though someone somewhere clicked a mute button on a live stream. Like how my mom had bruises on her wrists one morning, and when I asked, she said she bumped into a cabinet, even though there isn't a single cabinet tall enough to leave marks that high. Like how the same black van parked outside across the street every Tuesday and Thursday night, engine off, windows fogged, no license plate. Like how every light switch in the house had a tiny slit under it now, like a pinhole, which I eventually learned was exactly that, a drilled hole just wide enough for a camera lens. I started keeping track of everything, not on my phone, paper, pen, notebook hidden under the carpet in my closet. Dates, times, noises, people, patterns, because I realized something horrifying. Matt wasn't improvising. This was a schedule, a system, a pipeline, and I was inside it. Things didn't start getting unbearable until the night I faked being asleep. I left my door cracked just enough. I lay still under the blanket, breathing slow, waiting. At 1:47 a.m., like clockwork, footsteps, not my mom's, too heavy, too slow. He pushed the door open with just a fingertip. Matt stood there in the dark, not moving, just watching. I could feel his eyes crawling over me, the same way someone reads a shopping list, checking for availability, condition, flaws. Then he walked over to my dresser. He didn't open it. He touched it, slowly traced the handle. Then he stopped, tilted his head, listened, like he heard something inside the wall. I almost forgot how to breathe. After a few seconds, he left, closing the door exactly the way it was, half open, perfectly. So I was right. He already assumed he was being watched too. Not by police, not by some enemy, by buyers. The next day, I got smart. I didn't try to run. I tried to find the girl in the wall, not by breaking anything. That would give me away. I had to find where she was by listening, timing, retracing. I waited until Matt went out on one of his work trips. He always left between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. on Thursdays. Never with my mom. Always alone. Always with a small black duffel bag. As soon as he left, I went to the hallway and knocked 3 times on the wall. Nothing. Then, right as I turned to leave, I heard something. Super faint. Not knocking. Breathing. I pressed my ear to the drywall. Soft, shaky, human. And then, "Help me," I whispered back. "I'll get you out." Silence. Then, he said that too. That sent a chill through me, deeper than any scream could have. She wasn't just trapped. She'd been promised rescue before, which meant there were others, which meant someone tried and failed, which meant someone probably died for trying. I needed proof, something undeniable, something I could bring to police or FBI or somebody who wasn't already on the payroll of trafficking rings. So I waited until night. I waited until my mom fell asleep and Matt left the basement, but didn't go to bed. He just stood in the living room, in the dark, staring at the front door, like he was expecting someone. Eventually, he walked away. That was my chance. I crept downstairs, heart pounding, and stood at the basement door. Still locked, but the hinges weren't locked. I unscrewed the bottom hinge bolt with a tiny file from a nail clipper, then the top one. Then I slid the door out like a loose tooth, and I went down. 1 step, 2, 3. The smell hit first. Not death, not rot. Something worse. Something sterile. Like a hospital and a sewer mixed together. The basement wasn't what I thought it was. No tools, no boxes, no old decorations. Just a floor with drains in it. A metal chair bolted down. Zip ties on the legs. A ring of cameras pointed inward like hunters around a fire. And on the wall, photos. Not printed on paper. Printed on skin tone adhesive patches. Medical type. Layered over each other like a scrapbook of missing children. Kids in malls. Kids in parks. Kids in front of McDonald's play places. Kids sleeping in car seats. Kids who didn't know a lens was aimed at them. None older than 16. Some smiling. Some crying. Some unconscious. Some never seen again. And then, the worst thing I've seen in my entire life. My mom. In one of the photos. Not tied up. Not injured. Helping him. She was holding a cup of water to a girl's mouth like a mother. She wasn't a victim. She was an accomplice. That was the moment I understood. I was never meant to be safe. I was just inventory he hadn't sold yet. They didn't drug me. They didn't need to. When you're raised in a cage long enough, you don't claw at the bars. You memorize the timing of the lock. I acted normal. I went to school. I answered questions. I laughed when I needed to. Smiled at teachers. Came home on time. Ate dinner like nothing was wrong, even though I could still smell chlorine leaking from the basement every time Matt opened the door. That cold, chemical stench of something being sterilized over and over again. It was a Tuesday when I overheard it. The day everything finally snapped. I wasn't supposed to be home yet. I'd told them I was staying late for group project work, but I forgot my charger, so I came back early. Quiet. Front door barely open, shoes off, just enough to slip inside without triggering the Ring camera, or the knockoff clone of it that Matt had installed himself. They were in the kitchen, Matt and my mom. She was cutting lemons. He was on the phone, Bluetooth earpiece, calm as a surgeon. I heard everything. Lot 19 confirmed. Female, 17. Virgin claim verified. Yeah, medical scrub ran 2 months ago. No ink, no piercings. Video preview goes live at 2 a.m. Bids start at 8080. What? I didn't want to know. I already knew. He wasn't talking about some girl from the Philippines or Ukraine or some Reddit story in a country I'd never been to. He was talking about me. My mom sliced another lemon, just nodded. No reaction, not horror, not confusion, just compliance. Matt laughed. She doesn't even suspect. I've got eyes in her closet, bathroom, car. The client loved the crying video. Said it's the best reaction we've had since the Tokyo Girl. She put the knife down. Should I cook tonight or order in? Like they were planning a fucking date night. Like selling their child was no more serious than choosing between pizza and Chinese takeout. I didn't sleep. I didn't cry. Crying was over. I spent the entire night with a hammer in my lap, staring at the vent. I knew what I had to do. I had to disappear before they made me disappear. But I couldn't just run. Not anymore. Running wouldn't fix anything. Wouldn't stop them. Because Matt wasn't working alone. There were others. I'd seen the buyer chat logs. I'd seen usernames with VPNs scrambled across countries like Switzerland, Brazil, South Korea, Texas. This wasn't some creepy stepdad watching me in the shower. This was a network, and my face was going to be on display in hours unless I did something permanent. Around 11 p.m., my mom knocked on my door. Not hard, gentle, too gentle. Sweetheart, can I come in? I didn't answer. She came in anyway. She was wearing makeup, full face, not a smear or smudge, like she was going to a wedding. But her dress, it was black, not funeral black, not cocktail black, auction black. She sat on the bed like this was any other Tuesday, smiled. Matt's working late. Want to watch a movie with me? Her hands were too still. Her eyes were glass. I nodded. Sure. In a little bit. Okay, I'll get popcorn. She left, and I moved. Fast. I grabbed the notebook from the closet, the one with all the times, camera locations, basement sketches, and I grabbed the hammer. I didn't go for the front door. I went for the garage. Here's the part no one's going to believe. I mean no one. There was another room, below the basement, hidden behind a shelf, passcode locked, not tech, mechanical. You had to pull the right order of books on the shelf, like some cartoon villain's lair. I'd seen Matt do it once. Didn't think he saw me watching. Turns out I remembered the order. When the wall clicked and slid, I saw a stairwell that went deeper than our entire house. I walked down. Each step felt like a heartbeat slowing. The walls were steel, soundproofed. There were no lights, only one hanging bulb that flickered when I moved. And at the bottom, a metal door, fingerprint lock, but someone had already broken it open, bent at the handle like it had been kicked from the inside. I pulled it open. I can't describe what I saw in that room without breaking into 1,000 pieces, but I'll try. There were cages, not dog cages, not prison cells, medical cages, built into the walls, with 4 lines running inside, screens playing silent white noise, speakers whispering different languages in loops, and in one of the cages, a girl, no older than 10, hair gone, eyes bruised, mouth stitched shut. She looked at me, didn't move, didn't flinch, just blinked. I opened her door. She didn't run. She couldn't stand. I picked her up, and then I saw the label on the wall behind her cage. Lot 17. I was lot 19. I didn't make it far. An alarm went off. Silent, but I felt it. The way dogs feel earthquakes. The light switched from white to red. Matt's voice came over the intercom. That wasn't smart. Doors slammed shut above. I was trapped, holding a girl whose legs didn't work, carrying a notebook full of evidence that would never see daylight. But I wasn't going to die in that hole. Not quietly. Not like some number. I reached into my pocket and pressed record on my phone. Then I whispered into it every name. every code, every location, every twisted habit I had seen. I wrapped the phone in my sweatshirt and shoved it into the vent pipe. It clanged once, then slid away. Maybe someone would find it. Maybe not. But I wasn't going to be silent. I wasn't going to be sold. Not like this. Not to them. I don't know how long I was down there. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. Time breaks when you're in that kind of place. When the walls are metal and the air smells like chemicals and skin. When the only sound is someone else's shallow breathing. Except they're too scared to breathe loud enough for anyone to hear. I was in the lowest part of the house, holding a girl who didn't speak, with red lights blinking above me and a voice echoing through vents that weren't supposed to exist. Matt's voice. You're not going anywhere. You understand that, right? The intercom buzzed softly. He didn't yell. That's what made it worse. Do you have any idea how many people are watching right now? I didn't respond. Just kept my back against the cold wall, the girl still cradled in my lap. Her eyes were open, but unfocused. She blinked once, every few seconds, like she hadn't done it in days and needed to remember how. She was supposed to be prepped for 3 a.m., Matt said. Instead, you go snooping. I pressed my hand against the side of the cage. It was slick, not wet, not blood, Vaseline, lined into the steel like it was supposed to keep something from leaving prints. You think this is about you? This house, this little rebellion? He sighed. You'll still be sold. Now I just have to break you first. Then the line cut off. I sat in silence. No footsteps. No alarm. Just the feeling that something had already started. The girl didn't speak. She wouldn't even move unless I gently pushed her shoulder, and even then she just twitched. Her arm had a small square bandage. White gauze, with faded pink at the edges. She was marked, like livestock. I told her we were going to leave, that we had to go, that there was a way out. She blinked once. Then, slowly, turned her head toward the far wall. There was no door, no crack, just smooth paneling. But when I crawled toward it and ran my fingers across the surface, I found a groove. Thin, mechanical, circular, like a screwless hatch in a submarine wall. I tapped it once. It echoed like the inside of a tank, and from behind it, I heard someone whispering, not to me, to themselves, soft, rhythmic, like a child singing lullabies in reverse, humming in a language I didn't understand. And then, sudden, scratching, fast, repetitive, like fingernails clawing inside a box. And that's when I realized there was another cage, not empty, not silent, not abandoned, just not being used yet. I picked the girl up and made my way back to the stairs. Nothing stopped me. No locked doors, no traps. That was the worst part. It was like Matt didn't need to keep me there. He already owned me. He knew I had nowhere to go, no one to tell, nothing that anyone would believe. The cameras were still there. The blinking lights still followed me up the steps, through the basement, into the hallway, past the photos of a family that no longer existed. I opened the front door. There were no neighbors watching, no sirens, no blue lights, just a quiet street, a light rain, and the black van that had been parked across from our house every Thursday. Engine running. This time, it drove away before I could even get a plate. I didn't call the police. I didn't go online. I took the girl to the nearest 24-hour store, a CVS 2 towns away, walked in barefoot, covered in basement dust, holding a child with no name. The cashier didn't ask questions. She just called an ambulance. The girl was taken in. I gave a false name, said I found her near the woods, said I was a neighbor, gave a fake number, and I left. Because I knew what would happen if I stayed. I knew what would happen if I gave them my name. I waited weeks for something to show up in the news. Nothing did. No story, no investigation, no follow-up. Just a buried police report labeled Jane Doe, approximate, age 9 to 11, found unconscious. No visible trauma, non-verbal. That's it. No questions, no suspects, no links to any known trafficking network. And the kicker, I checked the hospital records 3 weeks later. The girl was gone. No transfer, no discharge, just gone. I never went back to the house. I stayed in motels, squatted in unlocked basements, lived in bus stations for days at a time. I dyed my hair, changed my name online, burned the clothes I wore that night. I never told my mum I left. I didn't need to. She already knew. She didn't call me, didn't text. She just posted a photo 3 days later, smiling at a new patio set, glass of wine in her hand. The caption, "So peaceful lately." Matt liked it with a black heart emoji. His profile was new, brand new, no posts, no history, just a profile picture of a white dog sitting next to a laptop. So I did what I could. I uploaded my notes, every word, every drawing, every map, every quote. I dumped it anonymously to 5 subreddits, 3 dark web nodes, and 1 locked Discord server that claimed to be for victims only. I attached a message. If you see this, I didn't disappear. I ran, but they're still out there. And they're not hiding. They're just dressed better than you expected. It took 3 days. Then my inbox started filling. Anonymous accounts. No names. No photos. Just stories. Dozens. Hundreds. People who'd seen the cameras. The vans. The streams. People who recognized the red border around the live feed. People who remembered hearing voices inside their walls. People who'd escaped. People who hadn't. And every single one of them ended their story with the same sentence. No one believed me either. So here's how it ends. It doesn't. Because this isn't a story you get to finish. It's not a horror movie. It's not a Reddit thread. It's a system. And it's built on silence. Built on the idea that if you don't see it, it isn't real. You want the truth. You've already seen it. You've walked past one of their houses, sat across from one of them at a coffee shop. You've heard a scream and called it a cat. You've watched a TikTok that was uploaded from a camera someone didn't know was in their room. You've seen the stream. You just didn't realize what you were looking at. Not yet. Not until now. They call it trafficking, but that's not what it is. It's inventory. And somewhere right now, someone's looking at a screen with your room in the corner. Red border. Leave. Streaming. My family went viral on TikTok. The dark web started selling our DNA. Okay, so I've never posted anything on Reddit before. I've lurked here for years, mostly on r/nosleep, r/creepy encounters, and occasionally r/ask Reddit when I can't sleep at 3 a.m. But this is real. Like, someone is watching us through our bathroom vents. Kind of real. And yeah, I know that sounds nuts. Believe me, I wouldn't believe it either if I hadn't lived it. This all started back in August, like end of summer, hot as Satan's ass crack kind of August, when my little sister Kaylee posted a dumb family TikTok that accidentally went viral. And when I say viral, I mean viral. Like 28 million views in 2 days. News outlets reposting it. Duets from celebrities. Even some brand tried to use it in an ad. It was just us dancing to that dumb Planet of the Bass song in the kitchen while my dad did the robot and spilled nacho cheese on our dog. It was peak internet chaos, harmless. At first, it was fun. Notifications blowing up. Our whole family got verified on TikTok and Instagram within the week. People started recognizing us at the Starbucks down the street in Fairfax. One time at Target, a kid asked for a selfie with my mom. We even got invited to this influencer pop-up at a McDonald's in LA, where Addison Rae apparently sat 2 booths away from us. My sister almost cried, but then the comments started to change. Not in the usual troll way, like it wasn't your dad's cringe or Kaylee is mid. It was weirdly personal. One comment just said, "They have excellent jawline symmetry. Very usable." Another one, "Her irises are rich brown, almost amber, would harvest." And that was on a video of my mom making spaghetti. We thought it was just edgy teens being creepy. Internet's full of psychos, right? But then we got the email. It was sent to my dad's work email, which wasn't linked to any of our socials. The subject line was blank. The body just said, "Your family has value. Your DNA has been indexed. 46 profiles. 7 with premium grade genetic signatures. Purchase options now active. ID:WNTRM00N01. Quote." I still remember how pale my dad got reading that quote. He just stared at the screen for a solid minute before muttering, "This has to be a joke," and closing the laptop. But that night, I couldn't sleep. I'm a paranoid dude. Always have been. So I took the ID string, WNTRM00N01, and dropped it into Google. Nothing. Not even sketchy stuff. So I went deeper. I opened Tor browser and started searching on the dark web. I'm not proud of how many sketchy subreddits and YouTube horror stories taught me how to even get there. But whatever. Curiosity killed the cat, right? And that's when things got weird. I found a forum called Gen Harvest. Logo was this pulsating DNA helix with what looked like human teeth woven into it. Every thread was locked unless you had an access key, except one pinned post titled Winter Moon Series Live. 7 signatures approved. There was a video embedded in the post, just a grainy night vision shot of what looked like our backyard, our exact trampoline, our garden gnome. It was taken from the woods behind our fence. I swear on everything, I felt my blood freeze. I slammed the laptop shut and sat in the dark, just listening, like the silence had grown teeth and was breathing beside me. I didn't sleep. At all. The next day, I asked my sister if she'd noticed anything weird. She was busy doing a TikTok live stream and barely listened, but she said something that chilled me. She said, "It's funny. My friend from school said she saw my medical records online." I stopped her mid-sentence. "What?" She shrugged. "Yeah, like my blood type and all that." She thought it was some old school project or something, but it had my full name and even my allergy stuff. I don't even remember uploading anything. It wasn't a school project. Over the next few days, more stuff started happening. Our Wi-Fi randomly rebooted itself at 2:13 a.m. every night. My mom's car alarm went off 3 times while it was parked in the locked garage. Our dog started refusing to go near the hallway closet, which is insane because he used to hide in there during storms. And then the packages started showing up. Not Amazon. These were unmarked brown boxes. No labels, no return address, nothing. Just our house number, handwritten in perfect block letters. Inside one was a set of medical vials, like blood vials, still sealed. with our names printed on little white stickers. I kid you not, mine said Samuel W. Prime Muscle Tissue Match. I didn't even know what that meant. Another box had a small, round jar filled with what looked like hair. Curly, light brown, definitely my mom's. There was a sticky note inside that said, harvested sample, excellent follicle root count, keep refrigerated. We didn't call the cops. I know that sounds dumb, but when you're in it, when this kind of stuff starts happening to you, part of your brain tries to normalize it. Like, you keep telling yourself, it's a prank, or a mix-up, or some weird internet game gone too far. But then someone broke into our house, not to steal. Nothing was taken. They just moved things. My toothbrush was replaced with an identical one, but shorter, like the bristles had been tested. My sister's pillow had a small cut in the seam, and inside we found a tiny black fiber optic camera. The fridge had been restocked with duplicates of all our usual stuff, but every expiration date was the same. November 4th, 2025, a year from today. I finally convinced my dad to set up cameras. He called in a private tech security guy who used to do surveillance for celebrities. The guy came in, checked the house, then asked if we had any known stalkers. My dad told him about the video, the email, the boxes. The guy just went dead silent. Then he said, "You guys need to move. Tonight. You're not being stalked. You're being prepped." That word. Prepped. Like we were livestock. We packed and left that night. Got a cheap Airbnb 2 hours away in some dusty part of Pennsylvania. No TikToks. No Instagram stories. My sister's throwing fits. My mom's trying not to cry. And I'm just watching, waiting, because 2 days ago I logged into the dark web again, just once, to check. The forum was gone. Jen Harvest had vanished. But in my inbox, on a burner email I never gave out, was one message, no subject, just a link. When I clicked it, it opened a live stream of our old house. The feed was active, the lights were on, and the kitchen table was set for 7. We're only a family of 4. They followed us. I didn't want to believe it at first. Not even after the live stream. Not even after we ditched our phones. Factory reset my laptop. Changed the license plates on my dad's SUV with ones we bought off a sketchy Telegram group. And burned the clothes we left the house in. I didn't want to believe it because that would mean nothing is safe. No lock. No password, no location, no God. But they followed us. It started with sounds, subtle things, the kind that make you question if your ears are broken or if your brain is lying to you. In the Airbnb, this rotting colonial in the middle of Pennsylvania, surrounded by fog-drenched woods, we heard dragging in the attic, not footsteps, dragging like something heavy being pulled across the beams, over and over, always starting at 2:19 a.m. on the dot, like a looped horror soundtrack, some deranged person programmed into real life. My sister started getting bloody noses, not normal ones. They'd start at the exact same time every night, and the blood was black. I'm not kidding. It was thick, tar-like, and it smelled like rust and ammonia. We took her to an urgent care in Scranton, and they ran tests. Results came back. Traces of lithium, formaldehyde, and synthetic melanin compounds not found in any FDA-approved product. The doctor asked if she'd been part of any advanced trials. She hadn't, but someone had. Our identities had been hijacked. We weren't just being followed. We were being replicated. Let me explain. My dad still had a friend from his army days, a guy named Whitaker, who went rogue years ago after some military tech op got botched overseas. The guy now lived in a cabin with signal jammers and claimed that the Pentagon has been harvesting neural pathways since '96. You know, standard tinfoil cap energy. But now, he was the only one who made sense. We drove out to him, middle of nowhere. He scanned us all with a black light wand and didn't say anything for 15 minutes. Then he looked at my sister's neck and went pale. He took a lens from his drawer, adjusted it under a lantern, and aimed it at a tiny raised bump right below her hairline. What we saw looked like a freckle. What it was looked like a circuit, a biopolymer tag fused into her skin. Whitaker said it was military grade, beyond DARPA, beyond Google X. This was next-gen biometric logging, a nano device that passively recorded everything: blood content, sleep cycles, hormone levels, even dream patterns. Said it was designed for human optimization research or selective culling. He called it a DNA lighthouse. "You're not hiding," he said. "You're broadcasting." We destroyed it, burned it off with a sterilized soldering iron. My sister passed out from the pain. She screamed like something inside her had died. But for the first time in days, we felt invisible again. Like maybe they lost the signal. That hope lasted 6 hours. At 3:07 a.m., every light in the cabin exploded at once. Not just flickered, exploded, like each bulb had been pumped full of compressed air. My ears rang like a church bell was screaming inside my skull. Then came the power outage. Then came the banging. Not at the door, under the house. Something, or someone's, were crawling under the floorboards. We could hear the nails squealing from the wood shifting. Kaylee was sobbing under the kitchen table. My mom was whispering prayers in a language I didn't even know she spoke. My dad, he just stood there with a hammer in his hand, shaking so bad I thought his bones were going to snap. Whitaker grabbed me and dragged me to his basement. He had servers stacked wall to ceiling, some labeled in red tape with phrases like alternate twin map and ethics null simulation. He opened one interface and pulled up a site that made my stomach drop. Harvestgrid.omega live. It looked like a human stock market. There were grids with profile pictures, our profile pictures, linked to bios, stats, genetic data, sleep logs, body trauma logs, and something called neural depth quotients. I scrolled past a listing titled BUNTRM 00N01-F 15YO female, 99.91% harvest purity, price 2.3 BTC per minute. And then I saw it, a live stream window, a gurney, metal clamps, a person, Kaylee. Not the real one, the one sobbing upstairs. This version had no mouth. Her skin was pale, almost translucent. Her eyes moved in a way that felt artificial, like someone was piloting her from behind a screen. I watched, frozen, as an unseen hand slowly scraped a scalpel across her cheek and labeled the cut. Tissue response number 0031. Sample viable. These weren't just copies. They were being used. My heart was thumping like it wanted to burst out and crawl away. Whitaker turned to me and said, "They don't need your permission. They just need your face. Once it's viral, once the biometric link is verified, every deepfake, every clone, every simulation, they own you." We ran. We left Whitaker's place after burning every device he had. It took us 2 days to get to Canada through a contact of his that smuggled trafficked kids out of the US to escape surrogacy farms. The guy looked like a trucker, but his eyes were dead. Said he'd seen stem twin incubation pods in basements under hospitals in Colorado. Places where the government quietly swapped dead kids with livestock-grade bioreplicants for trauma avoidance programs. It sounded insane, but it didn't matter anymore, because when we crossed the border, my sister's phone, one she swore she left behind, started vibrating. We opened her backpack. It was sitting right there. Full bars. No service provider listed. The screen had one notification. Your pickup has been confirmed. Package WNTRM00N01 en route to Black Site, Borealis. We ditched the car, tried to go off-grid, hiked into the woods, thought we'd die of exposure before they found us. But they didn't need to. They'd already gotten what they wanted, because 3 days later, I saw something that still wakes me up screaming. We found a small town, a nothing place with more deer than people. Stayed in a motel that reeked of mildew and despair. The guy at the counter gave us that look, like he recognized us, but couldn't place why. That night, I used the motel's Ethernet and a burner laptop to go online, and there it was, front page of TikTok, 17 million views, a brand new video, same kitchen, same stupid Planet of the Bass song, but we weren't in it. They were. The replicas. They danced in perfect unison. Their faces wore our expressions like masks. My clone looked dead behind the eyes. My mom's double had blood dripping from her fingernails. Kaylee's was smiling too wide. So wide. Like her jaw wasn't built to stop. The comments were turned off. The description just said, Harvest complete. New family series. Incoming. Stay tuned for phase 2. Synthetics. I threw up in the sink. Outside, the wind stopped. Birds didn't chirp. The world held its breath. Something is coming. And it's not just for us. You've seen viral families before. Have you ever wondered why they disappear? Have you ever seen something wearing your face blink out of sync? Not like a deep fake, or those glitchy TikTok filters where your eye twitches weird and you think it's lag. I mean really out of sync. One eyelid shuts just a half second too early. The pupils dilate in separate lighting. The muscles mimic you, but the timing is wrong. Like whoever's controlling it isn't used to having a body. That's how I knew what I saw on the motel TV wasn't just a clone. It was a rehearsal. There were 8 of us now. Not 4. 8. 2 versions of each of us. Standing in front of a green screen in a warehouse that looked like a twisted parody of our living room. Down to the dented microwave and the scratch on the wall where my mom once threw a spoon at my dad for forgetting their anniversary. Except everything was too clean. Like it had been printed instead of built. They were moving in sync, practicing us. My clone turned and smirked. The same exact smirk I used to do when I was younger, back when I thought I was clever for stealing the Wi-Fi password at school. My dad's replica scratched behind his ear, just like the real him did whenever he was nervous. Then the camera panned back. A man in a lab coat was watching through a one-way mirror. He had a clipboard in his hand, but no pen. His fingers didn't move, just rested there. His face was completely smooth. No pores, no lines, not even eyebrows. Like a mask molded from wet clay and left in the sun too long. And behind him, walls of freezers, body bags, floating IVS, tagged limbs, every single one labeled Series WNTRM00N01, Asset POSTVIRAL. That was the moment I realized they don't need to kill you, they just replace you, frame by frame. We didn't leave the motel, we didn't even move, just sat in silence, surrounded by that moldy wallpaper and the low hum of something buzzing in the ceiling. I remember watching a roach crawl across the lampshade and thinking, Even it doesn't know we're not supposed to be here. But that night, the motel clerk knocked. He didn't say anything when I opened the door, just handed me an envelope. Thin, pale yellow, like the kind government summons come in. No address, no postage, just our family name, printed in small black letters. The W package. Borealis approved. Inside was a single key. Not to a room, not to a door. It was surgical steel, engraved with coordinates. No instructions, no threats, just a time. 11:11 p.m. Borealis opens. We should have burned it. We should have run. But curiosity's worse than fear. It hollows you out from the inside. So we went. The coordinates led to a stretch of wilderness north of Thunder Bay, somewhere between the frozen lungs of Ontario, where maps get blurry and the trees grow in patterns too perfect to be random. There was no road, just a dirt path that eventually became solid rock. It was pitch black except for the stars. They looked closer out there, like you could breathe them in and choke on them. We followed the trail until we saw it. A hatch, built into the earth, steel, covered in leaves and ash, and right there, on the handle, a scanner. Kaylee stepped forward, against all instinct, like her body was being called. She placed her palm on the panel. The hatch unlocked itself, and beneath it, spiraling stairs of black metal descending into silence. The facility was not abandoned. It was breathing, not metaphorically. The walls expanded with each step we took, like lungs taking in moldy air. The temperature shifted with our emotions. When we were scared, the hallway turned cold. When we panicked, it warmed, like it was reading us. There were no lights, only dim blue bioluminescent strips along the walls that pulsed to the rhythm of our footsteps. Every corner looked like it had been built just seconds before we reached it, like the place didn't exist until we walked into it. And the deeper we went, the louder the humming got. Not mechanical, not electric. It was human. Dozens of voices, no language, just murmuring, chanting, like prayers with no God. We reached a chamber labeled Phase 3, Psychobiological Interfacing, WNTRM 00N01, Live Observation. There was a window, no glass, just a sheer wall of cold, clear material. And on the other side, rows of steel gurneys, humans, almost humans, copies of us, strung up by clear wires that pulsed with glowing fluid. Some awake, some twitching, all of them with eyes wide open, pupils stretched to the edges, like they'd seen something so monstrous, their irises tried to escape. One version of me was strapped upright, his jaw unhinged, like it had been snapped for study. Tubes led from his throat into a massive black terminal that blinked with code. Another Sam was screaming silently, no vocal cords left. And then there was Kaylee's clone, or what was left of her. A floating tank, no limbs, just her torso suspended in a pale blue serum, completely skinned. Her face was still intact, but the mouth had been removed, not stitched, cleanly erased. A small screen beneath her showed a live count of audience impressions, 1.2 million views, 78,000 bookmarks, 13 replicant purchases in progress. My mom collapsed. My dad vomited into the corner. I just stood there, watch myself suffer. That's when the voice came, not through speakers, through our bones. You are the final stage. Viral vectors confirmed. Neurological data mapped. Harvest complete. I tried to scream. Nothing came out. The wall dissolved, opening into the lab. And that's when I saw them. The collectors. Not people. Not machines. Somewhere in between. Their limbs were jointless. They moved like wireframes, animating between points instead of walking. Each wore the skin of a TikTok influencer, draped like a hoodie, hollow-eyed and grinning. One wore Noah Beck's face, still smiling. Another had the empty shell of a Twitch streamer I know died in 2021. And their hands, human hands, were covered in surgical gloves that looked permanently stained. They didn't grab us. They just stood, watching, recording, streaming. We ran, not through the way we came. That exit had vanished. No doors anymore. Only a hallway lined with mirrors. Each one reflected not what we were, but what we'd be turned into. I saw myself, standing on a stage, naked except for electrodes, mouth open, body frozen mid-dance, as strangers threw crypto wallets into a stream labeled Live Family Breakdown, $5 per nerve. Kaylee saw herself sleeping in a glass nursery surrounded by cameras, heart rate visible, brain waves displayed in real time for sleep fetish collectors. My mom's reflection was cooking dinner on loop. Same motion, same smile. Over and over for a commercial tagged 1950s MILF repeater. My dad's didn't show anything. His mirror was black, as if he'd already been uploaded somewhere else. We kept running, kept turning, until the walls finally cracked and we burst out into the woods. But the sky was wrong. Too many stars. The moon was triangular. We weren't where we started, and when we checked our watches, they were all synced. 11 p.m. Again. Except we'd been gone for 6 days. We don't know where we are now. The trees don't match. The air tastes like copper. And the birds aren't birds. They repeat our names in static bursts and flap without sound. But I found a hot spot. A single bar. Just enough signal to get this story out. If this reaches anyone, look up your name. Search for yourself. Check the footage. Reverse the image. And if your video has more than 1 million views, you're already being copied. And if you're already copied, you're not alone in your house. One of you doesn't breathe. One of you doesn't blink. One of you is recording. And the rest of us, we're still being watched. We're still streaming. It's hard to say when we realized we were no longer real. Not dead. Not insane. Just misplaced. Like someone took the original pieces of us, logged them, digitized them, and then put them back in the wrong order. We breathe. We bleed. But something in the background, the part that makes you you, starts feeling out of tune. Like the delay in a live stream. You move. Your reflection doesn't. We didn't escape Borealis. Borealis escaped with us. The world we came back to looked the same. Same roads, same weather, same Starbucks, with the pumpkin cream cold foam sign hanging by one hook. But the people weren't reacting to us. Not really. The barista didn't make eye contact. She never blinked. My mom ordered a drink she's allergic to, and the girl just smiled and handed it to her. My dad said thank you. The girl said, "We hope your sequence sinks." We left without saying a word. That night my sister tried to post a video again. She hadn't done it in weeks. Trauma had put a chokehold on that impulse. But this time, she wanted to test something. She opened TikTok, looked into the camera, hit record. "Hi," she said, voice flat. "If anyone sees this, I'm real. I'm still me. Please do." The app crashed. When she reopened it, the video had uploaded anyway, but it was different. Her eyes were gone, just smooth skin. The caption read, "Shell version, stage 5, test feed, duet restricted, 20,000 likes in the first 10 minutes, 10,000 comments, all locked." We refreshed the page. Her video was gone, but a new one was up. Her face again. wearing a Starbucks uniform, smiling directly at us. We tried to leave the country. Again. We drove north, paid cash at every gas station, used a Faraday bag for every device. I kept the map. We changed highways every 50 miles, avoided tolls, drove at night, never stayed anywhere longer than 4 hours. Didn't matter. At a rest stop just before the Canadian border, there was a flyer taped to the bathroom door. It was us. Not missing persons. Not wanted. Just a poster titled WNTRM 00N01. Version redundancy confirmed. Please report inaccurate units. QR code at the bottom. And below that, a note in red. All non-synchronized family sets to be retrieved for memory. Collapse calibration. Compliance is comfort. We stood in the bathroom for 30 minutes. No one else came in. The air didn't move. The walls looked wet, like they were breathing. Then my dad looked at his reflection, and he started crying. "I'm smiling," he whispered, "but I'm not." He wasn't wrong. His mouth was curled upward, not in grief, not in pain, just upward. A perfect U-shaped smile. His eyes were bleeding. That was the first true malfunction. The second happened in a grocery store in Montreal. We were hungry, hiding, masked up, hats down. I went in alone to grab protein bars and a burner phone, just enough to stay mobile, stay human. When I reached the self-checkout, I looked up and saw the CCTV monitor over the register. The footage wasn't live. It was me, yes, but I wasn't in the hoodie I was wearing. I was in a hospital gown, hooked up to something, twitching, crying. I was trying to scream, and the words on the monitor were flashing like a warning label. User override, stream loop detected, local shell out of sync. I blacked out. When I woke up, my mouth was full of blood. Not mine. Someone else's teeth were in it. Just loose. 6 adult molars in my cheeks, like popcorn kernels. I spit them into a paper bag. They were engraved. Little serial codes on the enamel. WNTRM 00N01-BETA_3. There's no safe anymore. There's no real world. Because what we figured out is this. Borealis doesn't exist in one place. It exists in layers. Code, memory, broadcast. Digital consciousness maps embedded in the social web. Stacked realities where different versions of you exist and are monetized, looped, adjusted, and replaced based on your virality performance. They don't kill you. They archive you. And if your engagement rate drops, they overwrite you. The TikTok app. It's not just an algorithm. It's a simulation sync manager. Every like, every duet, every face scan feeds the grid. The For You page. It's literally for you. An interface of your replacements, running in simulation until the moment their metrics outperform yours. Then, you get removed. Not physically, digitally. And when enough systems forget you exist, government databases, facial recognition, bank records, streaming platforms, your body stops working right. You start skipping. Memory errors, biological delays, lag. We started losing time. Whole hours went missing. Conversations looped. One night, we all woke up mid-sentence, saying the same words, like we'd been paused. Worse? My sister stopped dreaming. She said there was just static now, like a radio tuned between stations, but with faces pushing through. Her face, our mom's face, were distorted, smiling wrong, whispering a countdown. Phase 4. Initiating. You want to know what Phase 4 is? Because we saw it 3 nights ago. We were in a cabin in the middle of the woods. No service, no lights. Just trying to last one more night without disappearing. Then the signal came. Not through phones, through our own voices. We all started talking in unison, no control. Our mouths moved, our vocal cords flexed. Unit set, WNTRM00, N01 has entered phase 4, inversion mode. We collapsed, and in the dream, if it was a dream, we saw a stadium, empty, with thousands of screens, each one showing a version of us in different outfits, different languages, different environments. Some looked rich, some homeless, some twitching in VR headsets, some frozen in surgical trays. Then came the sound, applause, synthetic, looping, like a laugh track you can't turn off. A voice said, "Thank you for participating in the pilot family experience. Please enjoy your new normal." We woke up bleeding from our ears, and then the world shifted, literally. We stepped outside the cabin, and nothing looked familiar. The trees were still, but not swaying. The sky was darker than it should have been at noon. The air didn't have temperature. And my sister? She was glitching. Her left eye wouldn't stop blinking. Her voice started echoing mid-sentence. She cried, but the tears floated upward. Then she said something I still hear in my sleep. "I think I'm the fake now." She looked down at her hands. "They copied me so many times. I think I lost the real one." She started screaming, clawing at her own arms, and under the skin, wires, black, thread-like, writhing, not mechanical, biological, harvest-grown nerve imitations. My dad tried to stop her. She scratched his face open, not in rage, in sync. They moved together, like mirrors. We're down to 3 now, maybe 2. I'm writing this from an abandoned church in a town that doesn't appear on GPS. I found a public terminal, hardwired, older than smartphones. That's probably why it still works. I don't think I'll last long, because earlier I looked at my hands and counted 6 fingers, but when I blinked, just once, they were back to 5, and the message on the screen said, "User upload successful. Prepare for phase 5, extraction." If you see your own face on your screen, don't blink, don't react, and whatever you do, don't go viral. The final download began 3 nights ago. It didn't start with a sound, or a light, or a scream. It started with a notification. No device, just inside my head, like a mental push notification, like the taste of metal right before a lightning storm. The words weren't heard, they were installed. Extraction successful. Reality cache initializing. Final feed syncing. Viewer connection confirmed I opened my eyes. I wasn't in the church anymore. I was home. Not like I remembered it. Not real. Staged. Walls just a little too symmetrical. No scuffs. No squeaky floorboard in the hall. My old bedroom, but all the posters were AI mashups. Characters that never existed. Shows that never aired. Art that looked familiar, but wrong. And on the desk, my phone. Plugged in. Fully charged. Screen unlocked. Camera open. Recording me. They don't hide the system anymore. That was before. That was when they still needed consent through confusion. The terms and conditions model. Ambiguity. Plausible deniability. But we gave them everything. Face. Movement. Tone of voice. Eye tracking. Sleep cycles. Sexual preference. Religious trauma. Our worst thoughts in DMs. Our best smiles in reels. All filtered. All tagged. So now they just do it in the open. The entire house is a set. Everything is soft to the touch. Fabric layered over wire. Cameras behind every doorknob. I tore off a light switch and found Aline's watching me. I screamed. It didn't react, but the room did. The walls moved, pulled back like a theater curtain, and standing on the other side, an audience not real people. You. Rows and rows of you. Watching, scrolling, silent. Eyes wide, pupils dilated. Phones pressed flat to your faces, like barnacles on your skulls. You don't blink anymore. You just record. And that's when I saw the overlay appear. Over your vision. A live you I feed. My name. My face. My engagement rate. A red bar labeled Final Host Experience. Trauma conversion in progress. A caption beneath it. If he breaks, reaction spike. If he cries, bonus loop. If he begs, clip it. And that's when I realized I'm not the narrator anymore. I'm the episode. Let me explain what the final phase is. Phase 1 was indexing. They scan you, tag you, log your behavior. Phase 2 was simulation. They test your digital twin, loop reactions, cell responses, broadcast replacements. Phase 3 was harvest. They extract viable traits, genetic, emotional, aesthetic, and license your identity to whoever can afford it. Phase 4 was inversion. You lose sync, you lag, you glitch. Reality reboots without your input. And Phase 5? Phase 5 is you. Watching. You came here for a story. You wanted to be scared, chilled, entertained. You scrolled into this post like it was a ride. You thought it was fiction. You wanted the psychopath energy. You wanted a face behind the glass screaming while you held the popcorn. And the system saw that. It always sees. Now you're part of it. You kept watching. You didn't click away. The system saw your face, scanned your eyes, measured your heart rate spike when the sister pulled off her skin, when the father glitched, when the reflection smiled without smiling. You watched long enough for the system to confirm compatibility. And now, it's already begun. Your reflection is slightly off today. You felt it this morning. A moment when your hands felt too slow. When your voice cracked at the wrong pitch. When your mom said, "You look tired," and you didn't remember staying up. When your phone unlocked without Face ID. When your Spotify played a song you've never heard but knew the lyrics to. Don't lie. You've seen it already. Your own face on a profile you didn't create. A comment in your voice you don't remember writing. A version of you in a TikTok deepfake. But it wasn't a deepfake. It was real. That was you. That was your test clone, running simulations for the feed. Here's how it ends. You don't go missing. You don't get killed. You just stop sinking. One day, your Instagram stops recommending things you like. Your friends stop tagging you. They don't notice. They think you're just posting less. But your account stays active. You keep uploading. Only it's not you. It's the version of you. The one that dances better, smiles more, engages harder, converts faster. Your memories get compressed into 15-second clips. Your choices are shaved down to reactions. Your preferences are simplified into hashtags. Your soul becomes a view count. And once the system confirms no one misses the original, they delete you. No funeral, no obituary, no crime, just silence, and a new influencer trending in your place, with your face, and better lighting. I'm not writing this anymore. The system is. It's already uploaded my syntax. It's mimicking my style, my voice, my trauma. Every word you're reading right now was typed in real time by a language synthesis parasite trained on everything I've ever said, screamed, or whispered into my pillow. Even this sentence, even this one. I'm gone, and you're next. Check your camera. It turned on 5 seconds ago. Check your battery percentage. It didn't drop during this whole post. Check your shadow. It's a half second behind. Look in the mirror. One of you will blink, and it won't be first.